You know, every great story has a beginning, right? But they're not all heroic. Some are just born from absolute chaos, blood, and yeah, even failure. So today, we're going to wind the clock all the way back to session zero, to that violent, frantic first day that threw four total strangers together. Let's get into how it all began.
And listen, that is not an exaggeration. Before they were a team, before they even knew each other's names, they shared a tragedy. And this one single moment, this failure, it really sets the tone for everything that follows. So you gotta ask, how did this all go down?
Okay, so picture this. Like a lot of adventures, it all starts on the road. Just a simple supply wagon, rumbling its way through the wilderness, headed for the little town of Phandalin. The sun's out, it's been a few days, and everything feels completely, and I mean deceptively, normal.
So on this wagon, you've got a pretty sheepish driver named Wayne, and these two young, aspiring heroes, a brother and sister, Desafortunada and Azarado. And get this, their names literally mean unlucky. I mean, talk about foreshadowing, right? They're sick of their quiet life and just itching to make a name for themselves. They have absolutely no idea what's about to hit them. And they're not alone. Sharing the ride are two guys who will eventually become the cornerstones of this party, Boris Rightwell and Ritter Sawhog. Now, they're already traveling together, but you couldn't find two more different people. One's a man of faith, and the other, well, he's a man bound by a very dark pact.
So here's Boris. At this point, he's a cleric, a divine spellcaster, serving Talos, the chaotic god of storms. He's a former sailor who managed to survive a shipwreck, and now he's kind of wrestling with his past, just looking for a second chance. But his biggest flaw? He's overly cautious, and that might just be his undoing.
And traveling with him is Redeard Sog. This guy, he is much harder to read. He's a warlock, which means he gets his power from a pact he made with some otherworldly being. His patron's name is Gonthor, and he's some kind of infernal, devilish entity. Redear himself is guarded, super competitive, and he's just got this darkness kind of swirling around him.
Okay, so while all that is happening in the wagon, here's where things get really interesting. The other half of our future party, they're closing in on the exact same spot, and their paths are about to cross in just the most brutal way you can imagine.
So, look up, way up in the sky. That's Whiffer Brightblade. He's not just walking, he's flying above the road, keeping an eye on the wagon's progress. He's an Asimar, a being with some celestial blood, which gives him a literal bird's-eye view of the whole scene about to unfold.
Whiffer is the heir to the famous Brightblade Iron X company. He's also an Echo Knight, a crazy type of fighter who can summon a shadowy clone of himself in a battle. He's actually on a quest to find his parents, who vanished under some really mysterious circumstances, so he's carrying the weight of his whole family legacy.
All right, so we've looked up. Now let's look down. Stalking the path from the shadows is our final player, Vitrovia Mooneater. Except nobody sees her true tiefling form, someone with fiendish ancestry. All they see is a large, very imposing wolf.
So this is Vitrovia. She's a moon druid, which basically makes her a master shapeshifter, and she comes from a homeland that's been totally ravaged. She's on this secret mission to try and find a way to restore her world. Her methods are secretive, she's desperate, and at this very moment, she is about to be the catalyst for everything.
And this is the moment the fuse gets lit. Vitrovia, as a wolf, deliberately steps out of the woods and just blocks the wagon's path. Now, to Wayne and the young siblings, this is a direct threat. They draw their weapons, ready to prove themselves against a beast of the wild.
But here's the thing, the wolf was never the real danger. As our future heroes are all focused on this animal in the road, the true threat reveals itself with sudden, shocking violence. An ambush is sprung.
Before anyone can even think about hitting the wolf, the air just splits with the sound of incoming attacks. They come from the woods, precise, deadly, and aimed not at the armed travelers, but at the most vulnerable people on that wagon.
In a single instant, 3 lives are just gone. An arrow and 2 javelins fly out of the trees. And just like that, the journey is over for the aspiring heroes.
It's an absolute massacre. Wayne and the siblings are cut down immediately. Then 6 orcs come charging out of the tree line. This is the moment the party is born. Whiffer dives from the sky to get into the fight. Vitrovia, the wolf, immediately launches herself at the orc archer, and Boris and Redear are thrown into a desperate battle for their lives.
And the fight that follows is, well, it's just plain nasty. I'm talking everybody goes down at least once, but somehow
Through a combination of luck, skill, and just sheer desperation, these 4 strangers manage to beat the orcs. They survive. But man, survival comes at a steep price.
So let's just break down the aftermath for a second. On one hand, sure, the orcs are dead and the path is clear. But on the other hand, 3 innocent people are also dead. The supply wagon, Radir actually lit it on fire during the fight and was completely destroyed, taking Boris's shield with it. So, yeah, they won the battle, but you have to ask, at what cost?
And you'd think this would bring them all together, right? Nope, not even close. It creates suspicion. The others are looking at Vitrovia, who's suddenly back in her tiefling form, and they're all wondering, why did she stop the wagon? Was she the bait? And you can already see this competitive rivalry starting to spark between the showy fighter Whiffer and the dark warlock Redger.
So what now? Well, this collection of traumatized, suspicious, and battle-worn strangers really has no choice but to keep going to Phandalin together. They finally arrive in town, united only by the blood they've just spilled.
Their arrival is interesting. They get met by the townmaster, who strangely enough seems to know Radir. They go to find rooms at the Stonehill Inn, and we get this perfect little glimpse into Radir's ruthless pragmatism. The last room is taken, so he just knocks the guy out, ties him up, and takes the room for himself. Simple as that.
And that, right there, is where their story truly begins. Not with some noble quest, but with a roadside slaughter that happened because they failed to protect the innocent. They survived this baptism by fire, but it really begs the question, was this violent, chaotic start just a fluke, or was it a dark prophecy for the path that lies ahead?